Are we making too big of a deal of it? No, because the NHL is making a big deal of it. You're starting to see them publicly put some pressure here, and they've voiced concerns for a while about this arena construction.
Let's bring in our friend Emily Kaplan from ESPN. Have not chatted with Emily in a minute, so we're so glad she's returned to the show. Hello, Emily.
What's up, friends? How are you?
Great, great, great. We've loved your reporting on the shrinking rinks in Italy right now. Do you think that we're making too big a deal of it? Do you think that it's actually something that could cause players to say, fuck this, let's not do it? Or is it worth saying, hey, there's only so much space for these boys, keep the size right?
Okay, you threw out the F-bomb, so thank you for full permission to curse on your show. I love it. As a Disney employee, we enjoy opportunities like this. I don't think there's anything that could get these players to say, fuck it, I'm not going. Like, I honestly am trying to wrap my head around what would prevent these guys who are so desperate to play in the Olympics for so long, who have asked for it, who have campaigned for it, who were sure to get that as one of the sticking points in the new CBA, and then being like, oh, no, no, we're not going because the specifications of the rink aren't right. Like, no effing chance, no fucking chance.
How many
Are we making too big of a deal of it? No, because the NHL is making a big deal of it. You're starting to see them publicly put some pressure here, and they've voiced concerns for a while about this arena construction, and they've been very clear. We are guests. We are partners of this event. We are not the host. From my understanding, they have offered several times to the Italians, the organizers, the IHF, the IOC, like, hey, look, like, we're the best in the world. We've put on bubbles. We've put on outdoor games. Like, we are the experts at rinks. Allow us to help you. And to my knowledge, they've kind of declined. This thing about the size, yeah, it's pretty significant. 3 feet. No one was really expecting that. I think that there were maybe some understanding that this was something that was agreed to over the summer, and like, how is the NHL only finding out about it now? There's definitely some kind of disconnect there. But I will say this: NHL players have played on rinks that are different sizes. Like, we just played the Global Series in Sweden. Avicii Arena, best name for an arena of all time, in Stockholm, has different dimensions than an NHL rink. And the solution there was just moving the lines around to account for that missing space in the neutral zone rather than either offensive zone. And so I think that's probably the solution that we're going to look at here.
chat is swearing so much right now? They're
Fuck
just
yes.
saying swears. They're so excited that we get to swear on this. If they did not find this out, do you think that the players would have figured out after playing a game or two that it's too small?
You think Nathan McKinnon has never not noticed anything going on in a hockey arena or in a hockey situation? Yeah, like these guys, Sidney Crosby probably would have been the better example there, are so detail oriented. There's some of them that are such hockey nerds. Yeah, I think they would have noticed. And I think the other thing about this that maybe people don't realize is, one, it happens every Olympics. Like, no, it should not have gone to this point where we're not going to have a test event until a month before opening ceremonies or puck drop on the men tournament, less than a month before the women's tournament begins. But like, it kind of feels like this happens at every Olympics. There's always some kind of issue, some kind of delay. And the players have been warned both by the federations and the Players Association. Like, we know you guys want to go to the Olympics, but just so you know, like, it's going to be very different than the accommodations you're used to as NHL players. Team Canada, Team USA, they're going to be staying in the village. That's not the five-star hotels that they are used to on the road. It's more like a dorm style thing. The locker rooms, from what I understand, it's going to be a bit like the Arizona State situation. I heard mobile trailer adjacent to the arena, have to walk on a rubber mat with your skates to get inside. So things that are just, not necessarily NHL standards, but again, none of this is going to deter players. They've been desperate for an event like this. It's why so much focus is on the Olympics right now, is that's all the guys care about. They care about winning the Stanley Cup, but this is the first more immediate goal, and nothing is going to stop them from playing and us getting really good hockey.
Bill Daly said yesterday, quote, to Matt Larkin, said, depends, when asked about like what's the actual percentage chance NHLers don't go to the Olympics, he said, depends on the percentage you want to place on the possibility the rink doesn't get completed. If there's no rink completed, there's no NHL players going to the Olympics. Is there any chance that they don't finish this goddamn rink?
Yeah, I think there is a chance. Also, I love the way that Bill Daly speaks. You can so tell he's a lawyer. This feels like a logic game in the LSAT. I'm going to speak for myself. I never took the LSAT, but I understand there's some kind of logic games here. I'm like, what am I missing? What word is, leaving a little bit of room for uh, interpretation here? There's a chance this rink doesn't get finished because it's not finished yet. And from what I understand, when the NHL went over there last month, they sent a contingent. They're like, okay, we see progress, but y'all better get going here. Like, you need to speed things up. So I think that's just them applying some public pressure to the organizers here and to the Italians of like, please, like, we need to see something tangible because we know how desperate everyone is for NHL players to be there. And nobody wants a situation where they don't go at all. And everyone's been so clear there is no plan B.
How responsible is the Olympics for how many injuries we've seen in the NHL so far this season, whether it's due to the compressed schedule or whether it's just an abundance of precaution to make sure that guys will be available in early in 2026?
Oh yeah, there's no doubt that the Olympics is dictating what we're seeing on the ice right now. Yes, the compressed schedule, everybody's talking about it, and it's hard because so much of this is anecdotal. I think at the end of the season, we'll have to like take a really good look at what happened over these few months and how it differentiates from what we typically see. But nobody would say this out loud, but with a lot of these guys who are injured and sitting out, maybe the decision to get surgery earlier rather than wait on it and try to play through. It's all dictated to when can I be available? When can I be rested? And again, nothing is fucking keeping me from the Olympics. I just want to keep cursing for you guys.
Love
This
it.
is unbelievable. What's your favorite swear?
Fuck.
What's your favorite slur?
Bitch ass is pretty good too. God, I
Bitch ass is
over
good.
here.
What's your favorite? What's your favorite thing to call someone who you think is being stupid? I think that there's one that
Oh,
is
a
just
donkey for sure. That's
Donkey?
a Ray Ferraro special.
donkey. Great.
Bozo.
Bozo's up there. Bozo's kind of a specialty one. It's just the
Bozo's
classic.
good.
Idiot.
It
Idiot
just
is the
evokes so much
Snickers
imagery of a
bar.
clown.
What's that?
Yeah, it just evokes a lot of good imagery, like of a clown.
Clown.
Yeah, I like
If someone
Bozo.
actually says like this fucking clown, I think that that's like a little mean. Bozo is you're trying to kind of capture a vibe that's I think fun for everyone. But idiot to me is the Snickers bar of calling someone a name. It's just going to
Oh.
work. It's like the cloud. Do you not like Snickers bars?
No, I do. I've totally undervalued idiot, clearly.
Like if you call someone a fucking idiot, if you're
That
like,
one
oh, that
hurts.
fucking
It
idiot.
hurts.
Donkey's good though. Shout out Ray Ferraro.
Yeah, Ray would be pretty proud of me for nobody here is a donkey, but we know plenty of donkeys and we could talk about them all offline.
Yes, exactly. I wanted to ask you about this. We talked about it a little yesterday. The offseason was so boring. There was like free agency is going to be nuts, and then all the team players signed before free agency, so it wasn't nuts. And then people said, oh, there's going to be trades, and that's going to be nuts. And we were like, are there going to be trades? Because teams aren't going to want to trade their 2026 first-round picks because they're going to be worried about Gavin McKenna and Keaton Verhoff, and they're going to be cautious to not do anything to potentially screw that up. I think that like every team, with the exception of the Panthers, who traded for Seth Jones, good trade, they won the Stanley Cup, has been cautious in that regard. But a lot of teams, be it the Sharks or the Blackhawks, that we thought were going to be mid to bad, are kind of mid to good. So do you think that any plans change now that teams know we could actually get into the playoffs here?
Yeah, it's interesting. I always wonder about the draft class impact on how general managers make their decision. And I sometimes think it's overvalued. I think that there's a lot of discourse about Gavin McKenna, and I'm so happy to get into it because I am a Penn Stater. I did get out to Pagula Arena recently, so I have some on the ground, on the boots ground reporting, or whatever that big J journalism phrase is. But in terms of this year's draft class, like, yes, number one might be a bit debatable, but again, I'll give you my opinion there in a second, or what I've heard. But I also understand that it's a really deep first round in general. I heard that 5 to 7, especially, like if you're picking in that range, you can get some really good picks. And it's also a really strong draft class in terms of defensemen. And so, because of that, yeah, maybe there's no Bedard or Celebrini or singular guy that you know is going to be a transcendent star, but nobody banks on like really the lottery odds anyway, because you know that even if you finish in last place, there's a very good chance you're not going to get it. And so I think just knowing how deep the rest of the first round, perhaps that influences some teams from not wanting to give up this year's pick. But in general, I just think that because the league is wide open right now, specifically in the East, more teams are waiting longer to throw in the towel than they would in years past.
What are your Gavin McKenna thoughts?
Oh, well, thank you so much for asking. So kind of you. So yeah, I just feel like I went to Penn State. It was their weekend series against Michigan. They got whooped on Friday night. Did not attend that game. Went to the Saturday doubleheader with the Penn State women who crushed Syracuse 11-2. Shout out to my women Nittany Lions there. And then the men. So if anyone has not watched college hockey recently, holy cow. It has increased the intensity level significantly even in the last 2 to 3 years. What people don't realize was when Gavin McKenna is playing in the WHL, they play double the amount of games. So NCAA hockey being 50% of the schedule, guys are going balls out every single game. The intensity level is wild. And so the discourse by the time I got there that weekend, he had just played a weekend series in Michigan State, and people are starting to say, oh, he kind of looks like a perimeter player. He can't get inside. Effort's an issue. We don't see him back checking. And I just think it's a really insane adjustment for a teenager to go from the WHL to go to this environment. And I think that it's going to prepare him the best for the NHL. And I know that there's a lot of people saying, okay, well, like, I've talked to some scouts and some people in NHL front offices saying, like, I'm really glad I don't have the first round pick this number one pick this year, or I'm not going to get it because I think it's going to be such a hard decision. But I still think that if you're a general manager and Gavin McKenna is sitting there, it's going to be really hard to pass on him for a defenseman because if he goes off and he pops off as the number two pick, that is the number one fireable offense for a general manager. So sitting here today with all the information that I know, I'm still expecting him to go number one. And if he doesn't go number one and he goes number two, the revenge tour for a kid this talented is going to be appointment television.
Another great part of that is that the NHL, though far more difficult to project in the draft than a league like the NFL, the NHL typically doesn't miss when it comes to those prospects that you hear about for years. In the NFL, it happens all
Great
the time.
point.
You hear about Caleb Williams forever, and by the time it's his draft year, you're like, fuck, he doesn't look that great, but it's
Oh,
Caleb
I live in
Williams.
Chicago. I got plenty of Caleb Williams takes for you. But
But
yeah,
like, there's so many examples
continue
like
on.
that. Like whether it's, and I know that he didn't get drafted high, but like you heard about Jimmy Clausen for years, and he goes in the second round, and it turns out like no, like that guy just isn't good. The only guy that I can think about who has all this hype year after year after year, and then gets drafted and it actually pans out is a guy who technically I guess didn't pan out in Andrew Luck, but in the NHL, when you hear about a guy for years, Sidney Crosby. Unbelievable. Connor McDavid, unbelievable. Connor Bedard, I think people were excited to kind of make him into a Caleb Williams, but just no. Like he's there.
I get what you're
I'm
saying. And
embarrassed
I
for
do
Connor
think
B.
that is true. I also think that part of it is like it is so much easier to script an offense around a football player than it is script a hockey game around a hockey player.
Yeah.
So that I think that's why
No,
it
it's a good
applies more
point.
in football.
And that would be the other Gavin point, and I'm so with you. Like, look, this kid's from the Yukon. Like, he's way out there. For them to identify him at that young age that he is that skilled, and he is that skilled, says something about his talent level. And I have no doubt that he's going to be an NHL star. He looks a little perimeter right now. Maybe he looks like the game is just a little too intense. He doesn't have that inside. He's a teenager playing in what is an insanely physical NCAA hockey. Like, he will grow into this. But I think the Bedard conversation is perfect because I also think that we judge these guys way too quickly. And like, remember the conversations about Bedard after his first, second year? Like, oh God, like, is he a bust? Did we overhype him too much? No, he just wasn't surrounded by talent by design. And now that all of a sudden he's starting to become a man and he's still not there yet, just imagine when he finally fills out physically. Like, he's a dog and he's driving play and he's an absolute stud.
One possibility that we kicked around yesterday, and we've been big on. Do you know what a fallow year is?
A what year?
A fallow year.
Clearly not. No.
All right, let's hit you with some agriculture chat. A fallow year
Oh,
is
Penn
when.
State's technically an agriculture school. Fail.
Oh, damn. So a fallow year is when you don't plant shit for a year and you just let the soil and everything just kind of replenish. And it happens. I only know it because of the Glastonbury Festival. They skip it every few years because they don't want people walking on the grounds because it takes such a beating because of this festival. So
Europe is so superior.
yeah, every few years they just say, sorry, we're not doing Glastonbury. And they go from there. And we've kind of kicked around the idea of the Panthers at some point having a fallow year where they're like, we make a run to the Cup final every year and it does take a toll. So one of these years, we're just going to kind of skip it And then the next year we'll put on the show again, and the next year we'll put on the show again. And particularly I was very excited about this idea because we got to talk about Glastonbury. But the Panthers have looked like they're kind of doing that. And part of it is because of injury. Part of it is because it's tough to win games in the NHL. But because the Seth Jones trade, that could mean the Blackhawks end up getting a very high pick as a result of this Fallow year. This has been very long and convoluted, but like 16 teams, though, are also in the conversation of like, are they having a Fallow year? The Oilers are obviously there as well. The Jets are there right now. What has surprised you of these teams that have kind of taken a step back? And in the end, do you think the Panthers or the Oilers or whoever it may be will recover?
The Oilers by far the most surprising to me, just because of the way Leon and Connor were so pissed after last year's Stanley Cup final. Didn't want to be having to go through this entire thing again. Like, how did you get to the Stanley Cup final and lose? And just like have that burden over their shoulder. Connor signing the extension and then just starting the season like this. It just doesn't make sense. And I think that nothing has really gone to plan. And, there's certain things that have affected, the way that they've been able to field their lineup. And most pressingly is the fact that they're up against a salary cap, right? Like they've had to make decisions and things that they didn't want to do, like Troy Stecher on waivers, Ike, or the artist formerly known as Isaac Howard, now Ike Howard. I love that kid. I was like, is he Isaac or Ike? I have no idea.
He's Ike,
Ike
now.
now, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I want to call him the artist formerly known as Isaac Howard. I think that's my
Do
big
it.
campaign. But yes, it's the fact that he had to go to the minors. They want him to play with top six talent, and they just had to put veterans there to get everybody going. All of this is to say, like, I'm just kind of surprised that it's been this big of a dud. The Panthers, I'm into this fallow idea or theory for them just because it all aligns. You knew that they were going to have so many Olympians. You see, Matthew Tkachuk got that surgery knowing that he could get it and get himself right for the Olympics. And now without Sasha Barkov. At the same time, they're galaxy branding everyone. So I think when we're thinking that, oh, they're just taking the off year, they never are. I know how hungry they are to sustain this. And my only argument is they're keeping afloat with all of the bodies that they have gone. And they're going to start getting them back gradually as the season goes on. You haven't seen them put Barkov on the season ending LTIR yet. I think that should be a tell of where they think that his return is going to be. And at this point last year, not one person was talking about Brad Marchand or Seth Jones being on the Florida Panthers. You would have been an absolute kook if you were suggesting those things. And so I just don't think, were you? Are you an absolute kook? Maybe for different reasons?
Not to brag, I've been on since 2 seasons ago around the deadline, I was pushing the Chicago Blackhawks or teams should trade for Seth Jones. And
Okay.
We had an argument over like whether we should even discuss it because it was just it seemed ridiculous at the time and no one was going to report on it. But then we kind of got into and excited about the idea of like at some point a team's going to be able to grab a absolute minutes eater with their contract being retained. So when he was traded to the Panthers, we had a big celebration and then we were like, oh fuck, the Panthers are going to win the cup again.
All right. Well, you are a certified kook then, but a good one. All of that is to say, most people weren't talking about that or Brad Marchand. Did you know Brad Marchand was going to go to the Florida Panthers? Did you have that in your ether sphere?
No, did not. Even though he tried to fucking tell us when we had him on and we were like, are you ready to kick Matthew Tkachuk's ass in the Olympics? And he was like,
he's a really good player.
Matthew Tkachuk is incredible, and so is everybody on that team. And the way Bill Zito runs things over there, I am floored. And we were like, weren't listening. Anyway, you excited for the Bruins season?
Well, which just proves what we all knew, which is that Brad Marchand is the biggest kook in the entire league, and I say that very kindly.
Yes.
So my big conclusion there is that we have no idea what their team is going to look like by the time the playoffs roll around. And if anyone knows, you just got to get in and make a run. It's those guys. They're going to sneak in some way, and I don't think that they're going to let the foot off the gas.
So if you had to, like, it sounds like if you were to put, your faith in one of those teams, the Oilers or the Panthers, you would side with the Panthers at this point.
I would. And I think goaltending. I hate to be but what about Edmonton's goaltending person? But what about Edmonton's goaltending? Even though Stuart Skinner has showed up in enough moments where like nothing out there I think is appreciably better than who he is. I just think Bob, I know he's played a lot of hockey lately. I trust him. I trust the Panthers being able to turn that dial, and I just think their depth is superior to the Oilers, as we saw in the last two Stanley Cup finals.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the Oilers' depth right now is treacherous. Although, no one else is saying it. Last two games, Stuart Skinner, 980 save percentage, better than this Jesper Wallstedt guy. I don't. Everyone's all excited about that guy for some reason. But meanwhile, Stu just putting in the work, eating the pasta, lifting the weights, getting the results. Team Canada, maybe.
Too big for the Olympics.
Too big for the Olympics because the ice is small. But otherwise, doing everything he can. Yeah, before you came on, we were discussing which players now can't make the Olympics because they're too big to fit on the ice.
Oh, I knew nobody was going to have more fun with the short ice than you guys.
Yes.
You're
God
the
forbid
punniest
any
people
of
I know.
us have
That's the
fun
only
with being
reason why I
short.
say it. No, just because you're punny. I'm very short too. I have to stand on apple boxes. But yeah, there's some guys just too big for it. Too big for the show.
Amazing. Well, Emily, we always appreciate you coming on. Thank you for the insight. Thank you for the great reporting. Thank you for swearing. It's what the folks needed.
Fuck yes. And maybe this is my campaign. Cole Caulfield, Team USA. Does this mean that he should make it?
That's what I said. Yes, same page. Short guys stick together. Short people stick
Always.
together.
I'm a short guy at heart too, guys.
There we
Cheers.
go.
If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to What Chaos here on YouTube. You will get everything, daily episodes, player interviews, and so much more. It's all here on the What Chaos YouTube. Hit subscribe.